And, roll call.
Right, Carol.
Here.
McKee,
Here.
Hendricks. Gill,
Here.
Woodhouse,
Here.
Fleming. Brookins. We have 5 for a quorum, sir.
Thank you. And do we comply with the open meetings law?
Yes.
Great. Oh, we have one more. Okay, and for the agenda, were there any additions to the agenda? Any questions on the agenda? If there aren't. Good. All right. A motion to approve the agenda and so moved. All right.
I'll second.
And 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then the minutes from our last meeting. Any comments or corrections, changes? All right, we'll say they're approved as published. And now public comment. Do we have any public comment? Nobody online? All right, let's get on the zoning petitions. Is it Dieter?
Royce is requesting to rezone 27.58 acres in section 18, town of Dayton, from ag forestry, it was a legal non-conforming on our maps, to ag residential. The current size of the parcel does not meet the acreage requirements for ag forest. They came up during a land use permit request.
Right, and again, for the last few months now, we've been trying to catch these where they're not complying and to just get them up to date on the correct zoning category. So this one, to me, looks pretty straightforward. Any comments or questions?
I think Royce I saw his light flash. Ask Mr. Dieter.
Oh, Royce, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear ya.
Yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I really don't. I mean, just so it gets passed. I mean, that's the only concern that I have, so.
Okay. Anything else from the committee?
I have a question.
Yes.
So obviously it's getting rezoned because it looks like he's wanting to build another residence there. Is he being charged the 500 or the 125 fee?
I don't remember. Do you remember, Royce, what you were charged?
I believe I was 500. I believe I paid $1,200 for everything, so.
Because he did it back in March and then things got left out, so.
Okay. So the question, I guess, is should it be the 125 or is it because he just paid, so he's paying how much? 500 plus
For the building permit.
building permit? Okay.
I can check into it if you want to.
I'm just questioning because we made that change, so.
Yeah,
It's actually happening now after the change, so.
Yeah.
What is the correct amount that we should be charged?
yeah. We'll talk about it back at the office, Royce. We switched
Okay.
the fee change from, for like a rezoning in this where it's in the wrong category. You know, it's a wrong zoning district. We changed it to a different lower fee, so I'll check downstairs and make sure what was charged best. Jen has those records. And
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair,
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
this is Cheryl Dulling, the chairman for Dayton Township. It actually was, his father sold off land after the date of zoning, so it is an illegal parcel.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
What the committee's been deciding recently is that if there's no change to the acreage, there's nothing with just correcting the zoning, we're saying that we're not going to charge the full 500 anymore. So the question on this one is just, do we want to go ahead and count that in this new way of doing it or not? And so Kathy will look into that back at the office. Okay, so anything else? All right, how about a motion to approve this as Elaine motion? Anyone with a second?
I'll make that.
Okay, Richard with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the petition, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's approved. What's next?
Okay, I'd like to say thank you and I will leave your meeting and thanks a lot, guys.
Okay,
Bye, thank you.
Yep, bye.
have zoning administrator, right? I understand we have actually have a zoning administrator.
Yeah, it took us a while. We had several interviews and we had several candidates. A couple candidates who were offered to and they end up taking other jobs. And so our new administrator is starting today. Her name is Electra Dre. She's actually from the Casanova area, just out of college, but she's not here right now because she's doing the new employee training. So if we're still going, she may stop in. If not, she'll meet you at the next meeting or stop in the office sometime and say hi.
Anything else on zoning besides that?
Just playing catch up or, taking care of the, what do you call it? They're sending out some of the holding tank and getting ready to send out the new pumping,
Okay,
new, maintenance, 3-year maintenance. Working on that. So,
okay. And for the conservationist piece,
and nothing really new. Corey sent out the self-compliance forms that they do, and we're getting a few of them in. And then we've got 2 farmer training courses for nutrient management. Gotta look here. The right spot. One is February 12th. And the second one is February 21st. So people, farmers that want to learn to do their own nutrient management plans, that's when it,
how long do those last?
the training they have to take once every 4 years. And then they come in and if they need help, we give them assistance in doing it. But they have to take the class every 4 years and we will do
How long
updates.
does the class last?
It depends on how long it takes them to go through it.
Okay.
1 to 5 hours, depending. Number of fields, what's already been done. They got their mapping done. So, the other thing, we sent out the non-metallic mining reports, requests from the different mines. It's an annual thing we have to do. And just finishing up, I finished up the emergency action plans for the 8 dams, waiting for some signatures from Josh Elder, Mike Jessen, and Clay Porter. And then I can we're gonna put on an emergency folder so that if there is ever an emergency with a dam break or flooding events, if the EOC is open up, the emergency operation centers, then we can just go in, click on the plan and it's right there.
Is that something that's done yearly or updates or?
Well, the updates is change in staff,
Okay.
change in, like, what do you call it? Like town chairman, anything like that.
Smart.
Yeah, did you wrap up the tree sale, our county tree sale?
It's still going on.
Still going on?
Yeah, it'll go on till probably March.
And where is that? I've looked for it. I couldn't find
If you go on the county, I can show you after, it's on the county, go on the land conservation website. You go to land conservation webpage and it's got the link there, or
Okay.
Facebook page. Or on the web page, there's a little thing that says tree sale. You click on that, but
On our county website.
under land conservation.
It's not a real big link, but it's there.
No, it's, yeah, if we ever get to do where we can design ourselves, it'll be a lot bigger. We'll make it.
Yeah, I was looking for that. So, okay.
Would that be beneficial to have it on our front page for just that few months that we're doing that tree sale? So make it easier for people to find. Most people wouldn't think to potentially go there.
I can,
Sometimes we put them there temporarily there at the bottom for certain things and It's just a thought.
Yeah, that's something to talk to MIS about.
Have we heard anything new on how soon the new website might be? No.
Have you heard anything? Anybody heard anything about the new website? Nope.
It says Barb is online. I'm not sure if she.
No, that's this.
That's you. Oh, okay. Okay.
So.
Okay.
But I can show you where it's at on here before we leave.
Yes.
Do you get those emails all the time from that person about the website?
No, I don't.
I never click on them, but it's constant that they're.
Oh, you're talking about some independent outfit wanting to do stuff. Yeah, I've
They
seen
get
those.
them.
I've seen those. We're doing it in-house. I just don't know where this.
I didn't know if that was part of it is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no.
It's not.
No,
No.
probably delete them.
It's probably bad.
When in doubt, don't click.
I just don't.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions from the committee? All right. Okay, we're to UW Extension.
So you guys should have the December report in there. It's got a list of stuff from the educators, what they put in. You know, I talked about doing the report in the packet. You guys read it your own life. And at Beth here today, talk about some of the livestock programming that we're doing within that region. So Beth?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Beth McElwain, and I'm the regional livestock educator. I cover Richland County as well as La Crosse, Crawford, and Vernon counties. So my home office is in Vernon County, but I like to get down to Richland. It's a cute little place down here. I have Anastasia and I, the crops and soils educator, who I think you've got all met before. We work together on putting together a Richland County Ag Update newsletter every month. So I printed it out. It's web-based, so the actual printout is a little bit clunky. I promise it doesn't look this goofy when we send it out via email. But it kind of gives updates on different things that we've done or different events that are upcoming. So one thing that has happened in Richland County here in the past, well, it'd be about a month, maybe a little over a month or so, yeah, was the Producing Quality Beef workshop that Andy at the Richland Center Equity Co-op helped host, actually. So we brought in speakers from Wisconsin Beef Council and as well as DATCAP and a commodities manager from the Equity Co-op from around the state as well. So we talked a lot about, just what it takes to produce a high quality beef animal, whether that be feeding strategies or stress related prior to slaughter and how that can affect meat quality afterwards. We had a pretty good turnout, and there has been 5 of those workshops this year around the state. So if you're looking in that package, it talks about a total reach of 187 beef producers. We didn't have 187 on December 3rd at Richland Center, but I think it was around 21 attendees that we had. So it was there was a ton of great conversation. We had pizza. We had Cook's Kitchen cater for us. So we had pizza for lunch along with some other fun things. But yeah, also coming up, we have our beef quality assurance certification that will happen here in Richland Center on February 10th. Those happen all around the state, and you are required to have your certification every 3 years. So this year is kind of a big year for that, because I think it was 6 or maybe 9 years ago that they first started requiring BQA certification. So everyone who was on that first train is now up for recertification either the second or the third time. So we've got quite a bit going on there. We also have our Driftless Region Beef Conference. I'm part of the planning committee for that. That'll happen in Dubuque, Iowa, January 23rd to the 24th. I'm looking forward to that and hopefully seeing some beef producers from Richland County and the Richland Center area there as well. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, my contact information is there. Otherwise, I can field some now too.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The update as well as the report, I was wondering if those you would plan to archive them on the extension website so that you could go back and look at them later. I didn't see them on there yet.
No, they aren't on there. I wonder if we could do that, or at least parts of it, archive them. That's a good idea.
If that's easily done, that would be handy. So I know with email, I always clean out my email, but then where do you go look for it after you cleaned out your email?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can somehow do that easily and just throw them on the. We use a different software platform called My Emma to send these out. It makes it really quick and easy for us, but I'm sure there's a way that we can do something like that.
Okay.
Any other questions, thoughts, suggestions for extension livestock programming in Richland County?
Any other questions? And anything else from you, Adam?
Nope, that's it. Try to keep it short for you guys. I gave you guys enough report to read, so.
All right, so let's dive into the STR ordinance. Hopefully you've had, the committee's had a chance to look at the markups that were recommended to us, and we've talked about this for quite a while. I guess we didn't yet hear back from Attorney Windle, so I want to make sure that he has a chance for input on that. But I also wanted to ask folks over here if they have further comments on the wording that's currently being proposed.
I guess the question that I had, is, so will it, depending on what you decide on going forward, but my question is will it run with the state licensing fee? So what I don't want to see is like a person, let's say, that needs to get a license now and then has to turn around and renew again in June and have to pay the full amount again. So I'm just wondering going forward if that would run from that date so that they run together.
We can certainly do that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no urgency. We've been playing with this for a long time. So we might as well, what, do you know when the state thing is? So we can.
June 30th is the end of the state license.
So July 1st,
Pardon?
July 1st, the date you'd like to see.
Well, June 3rd, all these licenses expire on June.
Usually states
Yeah,
like
they,
June,
July
1st.
Right. Yeah, these are the 30th, right? Yeah, June 30th. So July 1st.
Which would
they
be
have
the
to-
start.
All the state licenses have to be renewed.
Well, Kathy can make sure the exact date lines up, but in the meantime, again, once we hear from Mr. Windle and pass this through to the board, I think we'd be in time to do that. Is there anyone else on the committee that has questions? Yes.
I'm not on the committee, but I've got a question. I didn't read the whole thing, but is there a definition for short-term rentals?
Yes, and you should read it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so the state has a definition for statutes, there is that. And it also covers, short-term rentals fall into a number of categories though. They fall into a room, they fall into a motel, they fall into a campsite. I mean, there's a lot of things that fall into that. And one of the things we've been concerned as a group is that we don't want that short-term rental to just mean what people call Airbnb. Because it really is a bigger picture than that. In the last numbers that we kind of chunk of the people that I know, there were about 10,000 people that came to Richland County through these rental processes. That's a lot of tourism. And just for myself, I know of two that have come and said, we're going to buy property and do something in Richland County. So that's really bringing in a lot of activity here, and we're really concerned that, too much regulation, and all of a sudden we go, wait a minute. So that's why these changes are in effect, and that's why one of the concerns I brought up at the finance and executive was, what's it going to cost them? Well, I will say me too, because
Excuse me, can I talk? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Denise Ewing is my name. We are in the process of getting state licensed. Friday, the inspector's coming to inspect our house and so forth. Already paid for the license and so forth. I did let him know that Richland County was having a little bit of a conversation about how we're going to do this. I need to know what my next step is for Richland County because I'll be state certified, so I want to know where to go forward. Should I just do what you guys have been doing in the past or just wait?
At this point, I'd say wait, because we have not actually enacted this yet. This is in the process of going through all the steps. And, again, you can go to the county website, look at this committee's, meeting agenda stuff, and you can look in there and see the wording that's currently being proposed.
Right, I know all that from Aaron, from Mr. Halverson. I've
Okay,
got all that
right.
information. I was also participated in the last meeting about this. I just need to know how long it's gonna take for me to step forward, because I already paid the license, the $300 to the state. Which again, like was just stated, I'm gonna have to pay again in June 30th. So if I need to pay some money to the county, I'd like to get that out of the way so I can get this going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to wait until we enact this. You can do something right now
Okay.
and just like anyone else. But
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are currently 30 licensed units in the county right now.
sorry.
Okay.
There are currently 30 state licensed units
Okay.
in the state right now. So
Yeah.
Okay, that's answered my question. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Richard, page 2 lists what a short-term rental is, which is the rental of a tourist rooming house for a period of 29 consecutive days or less. And then a tourist rooming house is any lodging places and tourist cabins and cottages other than hotels and motels in which sleeping accommodations are offered to pay to tourists and transients. Does not include like private boarding or rooming houses that are not accommodating tourists or transients or bed and breakfast.
Yes.
I just got a few comments. Like she was talking, there's a whole section that's got definitions, so it describes everything there. Some of the stuff that we put in here is just things from the state that they already have, just to kind of have it all in one place for people. So when they go and look at that, it's easy for them to find. We're also not trying to put a lot of regulations on people. What we're trying to do is a lot of the things that we've put in here or chose not to put in here, but we want to just make it so that people are good neighbors. People are respectful of other people. We don't want to have a lot of regulations on people. However, we do want people to be licensed with the state. And as Bob said, there's, quite a few that are already licensed, and we're very thankful people are following that and doing that. We do know that there's way more people out there though that are doing it and are not licensed with the state. And they're making sure that it's safe for people and everything is good. All the people that come here, we want them to be safe and a good experience when they're here. And as far as the June 30th date, I know the state has that, which Denise mentioned, that if you do it within a certain time frame, then if it gives a smaller fee, and then you have to get licensed again. With the June 30th date or July 1st, whether it would start, we're at the time frame right now. By the time we would hopefully finish this, would go through any committee needed, go to the final board. That to me, we would probably start at July 1st anyway. That's just what I was thinking, but and then that makes sense that it would start right then. The concern I have is, do we have the staff that can follow up and make sure all these things are done? One of the things that has to be done according to our ordinance is that for a license to be approved in Richland County, they have to not have any back taxes or any fines, those kind of things on the property. And so the question, I guess, is for you, Kathy, will our staff be able to do all of those things, especially if all these people starting July 1st now want to get their application in and have their license start July 1st?
I don't know. It's a busy time of the year at July 1st, but we would have to probably just check with the treasurers would have that, and where the fines would be at would probably be.
Right, but this would be something that would be on your department, whoever the new zoning administrator, I guess, and any subsequent zoning staff to help with this whole process.
That's the hardest part. We don't have a lot of staff, but.
Right, which is one of the other parts we've talked about too, is doing this part, but then there's also that agent that, like, I know Vernon County does, and that a person come down and talk to us, and that might be, once we get this done, is to talk about that, the next step. Because then it's a person that is, I believe it's like coordinated with the state, and it kind of, the person here takes over a lot of the things the state would do. So for example, if somebody wanted to start an Airbnb, they have to have the state inspector come out. Well, sometimes it might be quite some time to get somebody out here because they're doing it for the entire state, minus the counties that already have an agent. The agent then would be the one going out, doing that inspection, and it can help speed up the whole process for them. And also then, of course, the county then would get portions of that proceeds as well. So it kind of helps the county, helps all the residents be able to speed up that process. So it's just something we might want to think about after this is complete. They're two separate parts.
So from the state licensing part, by the time I put the application in, within a week, they got back to me, and within 2 weeks, they set an appointment. Because they also do restaurants, they do all kinds of licensing.
Yes.
It's not just this.
Right.
They're already territorial and regional. And I actually had to ask them to delay a couple of weeks because I wasn't ready. I always thought it was going to take longer. And they said, we're ready, let's do this. They're very quick about that. So their turnaround and their inspection I thought was top notch. They did a great job.
Yeah, like you said, it is licensing for many different things. That agent, if we chose to do that here, it would be many licensing. So not just
Right.
this.
Yes.
I just wanted to mirror what Bob said. I think I've had 4 that have now bought land. They've actually bought land here. They're going to retire here. But what you hear all the time, and a lot of them are out of the Chicago area, is they get as far as Spring Green. They never knew Richland existed. So, we have to get them just that 20 minutes up the road. But I think that you'll find, and that's why it's so important with the fees, because, when you're competing against the county next door to you, and they're, not charging, we've got to get them up here. And I think you'll find that most Airbnbs that really, you're really not making a lot because you're putting so much back into the property. And, you just want them to have a good experience. And a lot of my guests have been repeat guests and then referrals. And that's the best type of business you can have is when you get a referral. So I just wanted to mention that. That's why those fees are important. Thank you. And we appreciate you working with us.
Now, Sauk does have a county license, doesn't it?
What's that?
Doesn't Sauk County also have a county license?
I'm not sure on that. I know Airbnb, I think that's different. The fees that are charged. I know sometimes they say, you as the owner, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter to the people that are staying with you. Because if the fees are higher, then their chance they're gonna go someplace else. Because they can tack on a lot of fees on their end. So it's just another piece. I mean, I know it's not easy, it's just another piece to think about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what did we go with for our fees? What does it say for the fees on our schedule?
I don't,
There is
Because it's been a
not,
while.
there is not. We didn't have,
anything that was set. There was a
No.
discussion of $200 every other year
Yeah.
or something. And my comment at that point was, what did the Airbnb, what do these people, what do they get for $200? A piece of paper that says, here's your license? Well, you can do the same thing in the septic thing for $30 every 3 years or $30 every 2 years. What's the septic fee
25 for the pumping.
for the pumping? And you send out a card and they have to pump it and they pay you $25 to bring a card in to say that they pumped
I
it.
thought we raised that to 50. Okay.
So, I mean, it really is no more than that. It's a check and a balance. So why is one 200 and why is one 25?
I think when this
I don't know.
goes to executive finance on the way to the board, this one will probably lock that down, but I agree, it does not need to be a big number.
Yeah, and I don't know that we talked about 200. I don't
No,
know. where beat
it would, yeah, at one time, I think at one point when it first started, but then I don't
I
think.
think we thought more like around 50 or something like that to be more reasonable, right around the other fees.
Right, and then the
I don't know that
conditional
one
use
was
permit,
decided.
I'm sorry, the conditional use permit came into that question too, because some people have paid $500 for a conditional use permit already, and now do they get tacked on more because they paid for a conditional use permit that was approved? So that's gotta be part of it.
There's wording in here that explains how they would get some credit for that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and that'll, and it's also, we're gonna be looking at the zoning ordinance the next couple of months. And that's something, that'll have to be figured out how.
Yeah.
how it's handled.
A lot of moving parts.
Yep.
Anything else from the committee? All right, so again, we just need to hear back from Mr. Wendell, unless he has any big changes. I think this is getting where we can pass it on to the next step. So we're not really going to take action at this point, but just keeping it moving. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. Got the, oh yeah, here we go, number 10.
The discussion possible action about the modifications to the Richland County zoning ordinance. This is gonna be, I think this is something that, instead of doing it at this meeting, I think we need to set up a separate meeting to actually just sit down, you know, and talk about it. Sure, we let the town boards that this involves, let them know, and they have an opportunity to come and sit down while we go through this. But I think we need to set up a separate time, even, you know, to actually sit down and go through it. Just, there's too much here to do in this meeting.
And I'll just add to that. I've started marking out my questions, and this is going to be a meeting where we get a data work area. It's going to be where you need to be ready for it before the meeting. In other words, look through it, mark up your questions or concerns so that you're not reading it for the first time in that meeting. And that way we get more done that way.
To me, a lot of it's just clarifying. There's some things that coming in as a new person, looking at the ordinance and like our new zoning person, it can be confusing at times and how things are interpreted. And there's gonna be just some clarifying things, and some things it says allows this, but not this, or it allows this and this and this, but they're worded differently.
Yeah, I guess my question was, I started going through it, and it seems, you know, I've not written ordinances, but it seems super complicated and poorly written. It's like there's not sentences a lot of times, it's just, and then the question I had is, who is this for? Is this for the general public? Or is this for civil engineers or technical personnel, or who are you writing this for? Is this so people can understand what the rules are? And then the detail is crazy. It's like the level of detail is so, you know, like.
And I think part of it is level of detail, and Cheryl's on the line, she can say that too. You have to have a little bit of detail in there because we gotta be careful because we're the ones that, it's what we do to enforce it, and as the county. And so we have to have some detail in there so that we try to keep it clear. And so it has, but there's just some muddy things in there. And it could be that we're just understanding it wrong, but it'd be nice to actually sit down, and I don't see any major changes, but I think the biggest major change is to take the non-metallic mining ordinance out of the zoning ordinance, because we have a separate non-metallic mining ordinance. There's no sense in having just refer to that one. But there's other things that, just to make sure we understand it, and some of it maybe just a couple words here and there would make it a lot easier. I don't want to make a major change, just clarifying.
I think offering clarity is really a good idea, because to me, it's pretty muddy. You know, and I'm no, you know, expert on zoning or ordinances, but like I say, I'm reading this and I'm not understanding what they're regulating and how they're doing it clearly and explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's over, like I say, to me, there's just so much detail that.
So, just as a recommendation, one thing I've been doing is going to other counties and looking at their ordinance.
Yeah, I'd love to see
Trying
the
to-
counties.
I recommend doing that, just getting a feel for how ours compares. A certain amount of details just needed.
Yeah, and I agree, you need some detail.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you start talking about the kennel and how many feet it's gotta be from somebody else and how many dogs are gonna be there, or are cats allowed, I mean, it's like, you can just go down this, I mean, just on anything, you can go down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
and that's not helpful, I don't think.
I don't think Vernon County has one. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, nothing.
And
Yeah, look for
Crawford
it.
County, and I know Crawford doesn't either, but like Iowa County does. Grant County has some zoning, Sauk County, those are the surrounding ones.
Sure. It'd be great to see what they've got. I'd like to see that. And I think
And of course, Kathy, when you if you could, maybe send an email out to the committee looking for dates that work for everyone, but Mr. Wendell probably needs to be in on this too.
Yeah, well, if we could come up with maybe a couple of dates and I could email Mr. Wendell, whatever time of day. And I've got my calendar up here, so I know which days I can and can't. But, if you guys have some dates, 2 or 3 dates, if you want to do an afternoon, I know Mr. Brookings, sometimes maybe afternoons work better for him.
Like I say, if you send out a poll to everyone, and then we'll get something figured out, but we ought to do it as soon as we can.
Kathy.
There, I put ones in your mailbox.
Okay.
They're up in the mailbox up there.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So this is the ordinance as it currently is. Is there any recommendations or that'll be discussed at this meeting?
I think
what your recommendations are.
I think that those were some of the things that we've found before Katrina left and stuff. I have sticky notes and things marked out.
Could we see those before this meeting?
Yeah, that's what I was
Start.
to get like a draft or even just one where it's noted over to the side, like has been done in the past of this is the recommendation of what to be changed. Or at least just an idea of reword this paragraph or things like that, just so we know what you're thinking and.
Yeah, the more
That
we
would
can
help.
do, the more we can do to be better prepared for the meeting, the smoother it'll go. for sure.
When was some of this originally written?
Oh,
Because I'm reading the restaurant ones, well, a lot of it.
well, if you go to the back,
93 was it?
Yeah.
There was but it said it repealed this one from 66 or something like that. So, I mean, this is old stuff.
this
I think it needs to.
This one itself was 2003, but then it's had multiple revisions since
And
then.
I think the revision's the best way to go because then I don't think we need to make major changes. It's just clarifying what's there so it's easy for whoever comes in to enforce it, make sure we're doing it correctly, and then for the public to understand a little bit better what can and can't be done.
Consistency. Yeah.
Like, for example, industrial, like, we only have to worry about what's outside of city limits.
Correct.
Like.
Any of the zone townships. So everything but, like the villages of Kaz, Viola, Yuba, and Cazenovia. I mean, those we don't have to worry about. And then Ithaca, Rockbridge, Bloom, and Sylvan aren't covered by this.
Because 2 of them do their own zoning and 2 are unzoned. They don't follow the Richland County zoning.
Or they've,
That's why
and
I
it,
mentioned those 4 townships.
and we've had people come in and ask about such and such, and I'm like, that's in the city limits, so we can't.
They have their own.
All right. So in general, then start looking this over. So you're ready for the meeting whenever we do set it up. And yeah. All right. Where are we at?
But my thought too is to, when we set up the meeting, let the townships that are, those 12 townships know when we're doing it so that they have any concerns, because everything we do for zoning it always goes to them before it comes to here. So I would like, if they have any comments or concerns, have them bring that up too.
So you're saying that we would not try to draft what we think and send it out to them? You're
Well, it's up to, I mean, it's a public meeting, so anybody can come.
right.
But just sending out something, but we're thinking about making some updates, make some clarifications.
No, I agree. We need to make sure we notify townships, make some public awareness for chance for input. I just wasn't sure whether we do it now before we've done any changes, or whether we do a draft and then thoughts on that?
Well, instead of, yeah, we can make it, it's a public meeting, so anybody can come, but, yeah. And, but I would say we maybe do a special invite after we do the first one.
Okay,
You're talking about a special invite rather than just.
right.
Yep.
A more proactive thing about it. Thoughts on this? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, maybe just the first one, just email them, letting them know that we're having the meeting, and so they could come if they want, and then the second one would be hoping that a lot of them could attend.
Okay.
Maybe putting that in the email that this is gonna be this draft process, and then hoping that they can come. at
And
that
then maybe the
point.
second one, have an actual draft,
Right.
and then they can comment on aspects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're here, all of
Yep.
us.
But it'd be great to get it in advance if we get something from another county or your ideas or whatever, so that we got a starting point, where we're going with this. This is a big thing.
It is a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what time of day, you know, I'll, you know, if like an afternoon would work for anybody.
Sure.
I know,
Work my schedule around the meeting as long as we get enough notice.
yep, and then I can ask Mr. Brookings too, what time of day works best for him. For this, so I like to have as many of you guys here as I can.
So good for now then?
Yep, I'll work with, get some dates, talk with Miranda for this room.
All right, number 11, MOU for UW extension.
So this was brought back on the agenda from last time. We approved the educator contract. But bringing the MOU back again, this is a optional document that we have with extension in the counties. I think this really came from a point where there was some counties that feeling that they weren't having enough voice. There was some communication breakdowns between the extension structure that was existing. So as we look through this, again, this is again optional. I looked through it. I think we do a pretty good job communicating back and forth. I don't think there's really anything that we're not doing. The only thing that would really change by looking through this, if we adopted the MOU, is we would have that formalized. There's a thing in there where you got to do some needs assessment, formalized needs assessment with the committee of jurisdiction, which I would assume if we went into the MOU would become you guys to be the committee of jurisdiction and the educators to provide input. I think we kind of already do that informally. After Beth got done, I asked, is there anything for anybody to gather for livestock production? So those are the kinds of things that we're doing. Otherwise, I think everything is pretty standard operating procedure. I know one of the things in there that was questioned was the hiring procedure. So in the past, when we have had a vacancy, we always come to the committee first and ask if they're in favor of switching or in favor of continuing with the position or not. The last one that we really, the ag positions, committee was in favor of, we had one committee meeting, move forward. We went through the process, invited somebody from the committee to the final interviews to be on the interview committee. So that went pretty smooth. The one prior to that was the human development educator. That was Chelsea Wanake's position, if any of you guys have worked with Chelsea in the past. We actually spent 4 months in committee talking back and forth about, does human development relationships really the way the county wanted to go? What were some of the other options? We talked about health and well-being, community development, the different areas that were there. And so we had a really good conversation, set some priorities for the human development relationship position. That was approved. And again, but all that happened through the UW and Education Committee when that was the committee at the time. So then again, we took that input, posted the position, extension does the search, the preliminary interviews, and then final interview, invited a county representative to be part of that final interview committee and made recommendations from there. So just to kind of so you guys understand what the hiring process is in a really, really short conversation. Other than that, I think, you know, a lot of it's kind of stated in our contract. It's also stated in that partnership agreement letter that I gave to you guys first committee meeting here. So it's up to you guys if you want to formalize that MOU and just really from where I see if anything changing from what we're currently doing between the MOU and that it would be, I would have less department head responsibilities and you guys we would have to do the formal ethics needs assessment thing.
No, I read through this MOU and again, like Adam said, at one point, extension was under the education committee. And as it's moved over into this, I don't think I realized all the stuff going on. I've been frankly more passive than I should have been. And so this points out things that we, like I say, informally been doing, but we need to be a little more aware of, more formal about doing these things. So, yeah, we'll move this on to be signed by the administrator, but we also need to recognize that we need to be a little less passive and engage more with extension when these things happen.
Yeah, again, like I said, it is completely optional too. I mean, if we want to make it formal, we can make it formal. If we just want to continue being informal like we are, we can do that as well. And if we get to a point where we're thinking that's not working, we can always revisit the MOU. So it's not a have to sign document.
Understood. It looks to me like something we ought to sign on with, and it really explains or gives a better description of it being a partnership. And so I think we should go ahead and recommend that it does get signed. But any thoughts from the committee?
I have a question. As far as the amount that's in there, is that completely covered by grants or how is?
So
Trying to remember how the funding and all of that works.
the MOU itself has no funding. That was for the contract part that you guys had approved, and that's $11.
Levy, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was discussed here too.
MOU is, in a way, it's just like an appendix to the
Right.
contract.
No, I get that, but I was just looking at that agenda item cover sheet,
Oh,
that talked about the dollar amount in there, that one.
Yeah, we just repeated the same one that had both items on last time, and then last time you guys approved the contract amount, and we just saved a little bit of
Just,
that.
you put all the information together, okay, I just wanted to make sure on that. Yeah, I think it's beneficial to have an understanding, so that way it's clearly there of what is expected from both sides.
Yep.
So do we need an action as in an approval, or we just say we're going to pass it on?
So I need an approval to put it on.
Let's go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to approve this to be passed on. So Mr. Deal,
I'll second.
second by Fleming. Any further discussion?
I have, for Mr. Chair, just, I have a couple of questions about that joint responsibilities. You mentioned needs assessment, annual listening session. There's also like key performance indicators, the hiring process, shared educator positions. What does that really mean for the committee, you know, as far as that involvement? So what level can you speak to that a little bit? Like, would it be the committee, you know, hosting and these annual listening sessions and needs assessments? Yeah. Be up to the committee then.
Yeah, so it would really be up to how involved we want to get it. I mean, it could be as simple as we talk about what are some of the goals and needs that you guys see and we see at a meeting, to a, you know, full gathering of county input and some of those other things. So, I mean, it can be as big or small as you guys feel is needed as a committee.
Okay, okay. I guess I'm in favor of that, you know, that check. I think it does then get the maybe more involved in understanding the work at extension more closely. Thank you.
All in favor of passing this on, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Correspondence.
Really haven't had a lot. It's been kind of slow down there. The big things we're working with, I'm corresponding a lot with Mr. Wendell about some of the potential violations we've been dealing with. And I'm also dealing with the Department of Safety and Professional Services with a septic that we got reported there's no septic on they added another house and they don't have a septic for the second house, so. Yeah, so that just came up over the last couple weeks, so that's correspondence I've got going with it.
All right, future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to get on the agenda? Okay, all right, on a motion to adjourn. Ricky?
You're not on the committee, are you? You said. Are you on this committee? Okay, I thought you just said earlier you were.
Those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I thought he said earlier he wasn't.
He did say that.
Well, but I thought, should I do this again?
We're just really classified.
It's got a name tag there, so it's like. So Kathy,